is John Kennedy, and with me today is Ms. Donna Hughes from Bowman Library. And we are going to put together a little program to help you teach silk carving to your children. We also teach a silk carving course for adults, but the only difference is that the adults use knives, real metal knives. That's just a safety factor. As parents, you know your kids better than anybody, so if make your own decision. If you would rather use safe knives for toddlers and youngsters, we are going to teach you today how to make them out of popsicle sticks or crafting sticks. You can buy crafting sticks at Walmart or Hobby Lobby or a lot of different crafting stores around the area. They're cheap and you can buy a whole bunch of them for a couple of bucks. They come in different sizes. These are the jumbo ones, and this is the one that we're going to use today. They all work just fine. It's your choice really what you want to do. Some of the other materials that we're going to use today include soap. We have the soap that we use for soap carving is ivory soap. And it's ivory soap because it's the soap that works best for carving. It doesn't chip or flake. A long time ago when ivory was developing its soap to make it float, by accident, they also made it just perfect for soap carving. And today we're going to probably do a couple of little things. We'll make maybe a cross, because it's a pretty simple design. And if we have time, we'll go ahead and make a heart as well. You can buy the ivory soap at any grocery store or Walmart or whatever. You get 10 bars like this for maybe $5, somewhere in that range. And in one session, you might use half of these, but you will make a huge mess. So something you always want to have handy when you're doing soap carving is a brush and a dustpan, and keep grabbing those little bits of soap, because once they get in the carpet, it's terrible. Reference material. If you're really interested in pursuing soap carving, and it really is a thing, it's something that adults do in competitions and they have shows, but for us it's a gateway activity for little kids to learn, to be exposed to something artistic and maybe get them interested in doing other artistic things. But this is the book. It's a book by Janet Bolyard, The Complete Guide to Soap Carving, and it's published by Fox Chapel Publishing. So you can find it online. I bought this a couple of years ago, and I think it was about $12, and it's some of the best money I've ever spent. Really good stuff. I think we're ready to start making some tools. So let us move the camera. Okay, now we're going to show you how to make some tools. And these are pretty simple. As I said before, we use the popsicle sticks, kind of like this, and different sizes, but I like to use this size. It fits into a toddler's hand real well after the tool's made. So you start off by putting some sticks together, like that, and you draw some lines in the middle. 3 of them straight across, and the 4th one at a diagonal. And you make cuts along those lines, and this is what you end up with. You end up with those 4 sticks that are cut like that, okay? These are the makings of the tool. The way that you make the tool next is that you take any kind of glue. White glue is fine. It doesn't have to be expensive or anything like that. And you put a dab of glue here, and then you take another piece like this and put it right on that glue. You might want to spread it around a little bit to give it more surface area. And then you take another one of these and you put it at the same spot as the first one. Okay, so that you've got the bottom one there, and the middle one sticks out like that, and the 3rd one goes on top, right above the bottom one. Oh, I forgot to say, put some glue on here too. And then, once you've got that, then put something on top of it, and it might just be something like a little bottle like that, just something to hold that in place for about 10 minutes, and that will allow the glue to dry. If you really want to be safe, make it 15 minutes, but if it's white glue like you would get for school classes and things like that, or for chair making or woodworking, 10 minutes is usually enough time for it to dry. If you want, this will give you a tool like this. It's a straight edge, and it's called a chisel. And if you want to make one that's a knife, a knife edge like this, you take this piece that was cut diagonally across the middle, and you do basically the same thing. You put one on the bottom, you put the tool edge on top of that glue, and then the tool edge, and then glue again, and then the top part. Put something on top of it to hold it in place until the glue dries. Now after the glue dries, any kind of tape, this is I think a little bit less expensive, it's used for painting, or you can use masking tape, either one. I had some extra masking tape when I was making these tools here, so I used it up. And what you do is you just wrap it around where it's already glued. You don't actually need it to keep the sticks together. What it does is it gives the carver something a little bit more to hold on to, a little bit more texture, give you a tactile sensation, be able to hold on to it. Maybe it prevents splinters, I don't think so, but maybe. Glue it at the bottom, because there's no glue back in this area here, but glue it to hold it together so it doesn't split up, and glue it at the top. And you've got a tool. This tool, by the way, is more of a knife edge, okay? It's diagonal. And you'll have a little bit of a point here that you can use to do what we call a stop cut. We'll get to that in a minute. You can make an awful lot of tools with one little bag of popsicle sticks. It took 4 sticks, and I got 2 tools and I have 2 pieces left over. So if I cut up a few more, I get some more tools, and then off you go. These tools will last hours. So, okay, now that you've got the tools all assembled, how do you make them sharp enough to cut soap? This is sandpaper. What you do is you take the edge that is kind of blunted like this where we cut it, and you just go like this, and you give it an angle, not flat, but an angle, not straight up, but an angle like that, and you just go like this with sandpaper. Don't press too hard, let the sandpaper do the work. And oh my goodness, you got a cutting edge there. Pretty cool. And if your soap gets clogged up around here after you've been carving, you can take another piece like this and just scrape it off. If it gets dull, come back to the sandpaper and do this. You can get sandpaper to last you a long, long time for, again, a package of, if the parents are really interested, I think this is 150 grit. So, and it could really be any, if it's 220 grit, which is a finer grit, it'll take a little bit longer to get that sharp leading edge on there. So 150 does it about right. 150 grit sandpaper, you can buy that again at Walmart, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, a lot of places sell sandpaper, and it'll last a long time. You can make 50 tools using a piece of sandpaper this big. I think that's it for making tools. We're going to pause for a minute and let you go make some tools, and while you're doing that, we're going to set up and start carving. Welcome back, and I'm glad that you're here. I hope you've made some tools. I've got plenty of tools here, as you can see. I wish I could share them with you, but you can't do that virtually. These are tools that we've made just the way that I showed you. So, the first thing we're going to teach you is how to make the basic cuts for soap carving. So I've got a bar of ivory soap here, and it's unwrapped, and you can see that there's a little ivory logo on there, and it kind of interferes with our carving, so we're going to get rid of that. So get a scraper. A scraper can be just another popsicle stick. It can be a knife from your mom's kitchen cutlery set, but let her do it for you. And what you do is you just hold it straight across the top here, and you just go like this a couple of times until that logo disappears. It's not there anymore. And right away you can see that this is going to get messy if you're not careful. So, as usual, I forgot something today. What I forgot was my broom and dustpan. I usually stop every 10 minutes and put this into a pile and put it into a bag somewhere, and so it's going to be a real mess by the time we're done, unfortunately. I'm sure you'll do better, but have a broom and dustpan. Okay, this is scraped flat, and all I did was I got rid of the ivory logo on there. So what are the basic cuts? Let me pick a tool. I'll pick any tool. I'll pick the knife. This is the one with the diagonal edge on it. It's got a little bit of a point to it. First of all, I'm gonna just do a straight line. A straight line, and that's usually a line on the shape of something that I'm gonna cut. Got that, I've got that straight line. And by the way, if you don't do this right the first time, don't worry about it. I've been doing this for years and I'm still trying to get it right. And another thing that somebody told me a while back, and it makes perfect sense, is that there's no wrong way to do this. If you do it your way, that's your way, period. And it's artistic and you own it, and congratulations. So there's no wrong way to do it. So there's no apologies required for anything that you're doing here. And okay, what I've done is I've scored that a couple of times with this sharp edge, and that's called a stop cut. Why do we call it a stop cut? Well, it's because when I go around and try and scrape soap off on this side of it, that line there stops me from going to the other side of it. And I can go like this. Ta-da! If you don't get this right the first time, or the 5th or the 2nd or the 10th time, don't worry about it. Just keep trying. The soap is not that expensive, and as you'll see, okay, I've scraped it off. I've got a stop line there, and that's where it stopped, where I was cutting. If I wanted to come in from this direction and cut it, I could go right up to there and stop, and just pop it off, and like that, stop. And I can use the corner on this, or the corner on this, to make things a little cleaner in the middle. Can you see that? I'm just going to take that corner and pull that extra fuzzy stuff out of there. And oh my goodness, it's starting to look like something. Now a stop cut doesn't have to always be straight. If you want to have a curve, like a heart, we're going to do a heart later on. I'll make just a little curved line here. That might be the outside of a heart. I'll make it a little bit deeper, make sure that that stays in the same little groove that I put there. Get that soap out of the way. And then I'll try this one to go on the outside of it. Just keep that tool on the outside of that stop cut. And go on this side over here. You don't have to always go in the same direction. You can flip it around and go upside down, just whatever's most comfortable for you. You might also notice that I didn't say there's a perfect way to hold these things. There's a perfect way for me to hold it, and there's a different way which is perfect for the way you hold it. We're all built differently, and we all think, and our brains and our hands work together differently. So if you want to hold it like this, that's great. Whatever's comfortable and whatever works for you. And again, I'm going to try something else here. This is called a scrape. It's not a cut. A scrape is when you just pull this up away. I'm going to keep that corner on the outside of the stop cut that I made, and I'm going to just pull it around the top. See how smooth that looks when it goes around there like that? Again, I hope I'm not making it look too easy, because I remember when I was starting, this was pretty hard, and it took me a lot of practice. And there's a rule about artistic endeavors, and in wood carving, the rule is the four most important things in wood carving and soap carving are you got to have good tools and practice and practice and practice. So you got to practice all the time. Okay, that's a stop cut and that's a scrape. What else are we going to teach you? Oh, we're going to teach you a chip cut. A chip cut is if you've got something like a little piece that you want to pull out, like if you're carving a face and you want to get this little part right here at the corner of the eye, we will say that's the corner of the eye, right where I'm putting the knot there, okay? And I'll pull out like that. And then I'll say, here's the other side of it, like that. So I've created kind of a V. And it's real deep here, and it gets shallower as I come out, okay? And now I'm going to put the point of my tool right on one side, on the inside, and I'm going to slide it towards the corner.
Loss of service.
That's my telephone trying to tell me something. I don't know what. Okay. And so I was able to pull something out of there, a chip cut.
Horizon.
We'll try it again. Here's a piece like that, and a piece like that. And I want to get it out, so I just chip cut. Okay? So it's not a curve or a long line or anything like that. It's like a little piece that you want to get out. And there is a place on the heart that we're going to do in a little bit where you have to get real close. It's right at the top of the heart where the lobes come together. It comes into a little tight space there. So we'll use that chip cut. Pretend like that's the top of the heart is right here. Okay? The soap is coming around like that. I mean, the heart comes around like that. And it comes around like this on the other side. I'll get all that stuff out of the way. Right there. I want to get that out of the way without cutting into the heart. So I go like this, I go right to that line, and I pop it out. Okay. So
Loss of service.
we have done the slice cut, the stop cut, chip cut, and the scrape. Let me just do the slice cut one more time, because I kind of skimmed over that. A slice cut is after you've made a stop cut, like that. You want to slice. Okay, you can slice by pushing away, like that. That's a cut. Or you can do a slice cut where you're pulling towards yourself, like this. But be careful because it's not so dangerous now, but if you're doing it with a knife, that knife is aimed towards your body and you want to be real careful not to hurt yourself. So I like to make sure that I'm cutting away from myself as often as I can, and that is called a slice cut. See how it's slicing that off of there like I'm slicing butter off of a piece of butter? I love it. There you go. Okay? Next thing, if you have any questions, by the way, send the questions to Miss Hughes, Donna Hughes at the Bowman Library, and we'll work out an answer and get back to you with whatever questions you have. Okay? Is that good enough, Donna? All right. Let's see. These techniques. At this point, normally I would clean up, but I don't have my dustpan here, so we're going to pause for a minute, and then we're going to do an actual carving project. See you in a minute. Welcome back. I hope that you had fun with practicing your new carving strokes. What we're going to do now is we're going to do an actual project. We're going to try and make something by carving soap. As you can see, I've done the first step. I've scraped off the ivory logo. And what we're going to try and create is this. And it's one of the simpler designs because it's nothing but straight lines. It's a little cross. And after that, we're going to do a heart. So how do we do that? First of all, we get the soap scraped clean, and then we get a template. A template is just a design that fits onto the top of the soap. This is just a little bit big, so I'll try and center it so that all this, as much of it as possible, will get on there. We have a number of other templates. The book has a lot of them. Other things that we can do, you can use this as a template. We're going to use this to make our heart. Again, we'll just put that on there and make the design and then carve it out. Anything that you want to do. It could be a picture of a dog or a duck or a bear or a lot of those things. And if you want some of those, you can get them from Donna Hughes at the Bowman Library. We have copies right now. We do. Okay. And if you need more. So, we have a bar of soap. We have a template. The next thing we need is what we call a stylus. A stylus is a fancy name for something that you poke holes with or you trace with. This is an expensive one, and I have one because I do other different kinds of art where this is very helpful. But for soap carving, you buy these guys at, again, at Walmart, at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, or you can go ask your dad to get you a nail, or you can use a toothpick. And just it's something that you can poke holes with. You notice I'm holding this stylus right here, and I'm going to use the nails just to prove that it can be done. I'm going to poke holes through the paper into the soap along the line there of the figure. And right there. And I'm going to go out here. As you'll see in a minute, you don't have to do every single spot. Just give it enough holes so that you know where the line is. Okay? And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. This is art, and if it looks a little bit squiggly or off-center, that makes it probably more expensive when people try to buy it. Say, oh, I was using my artistic skills. Okay, and I'm going to do the last part down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the end. Okay, I put probably a lot more holes in this than you actually need to do. And I'll show you why I say that in a minute. I take this off. I've got these holes here. Oh, by the way, this is the other side of it. That's a bear template if you ever want to look at that. It's in that book that I referenced in the first part. Okay, but I've got the lines here. So what am I going to do next? I can take a stylus, whichever one, or I can take a tool. I think I'll use a stylus to make those lines a little bit more prominent, readable. Okay, see how I'm going like that? Straight down from connecting the dots, as they say. And I'll do the side here. You know what I just did there? I turned it. I didn't have to go clear over the side like that. Feel free to turn the material that you're carving. So, okay. And since I'm going the same direction here, I don't need to turn it. And I just turned it again because I'm going to keep cutting in that direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Try to get nice straight lines. And if you don't get straight lines, please don't worry about it. Straight lines are not a requirement. The only things that's required when you're soap carving is that you have fun. You have to have fun. If you're not having fun, then try harder. I'm just kidding. Okay. So I connected all those lines, all those dots that I made with the stylus. And now I know where the stop cuts are going to go. I'm going to use the pointy one again. Pointy tool. In woodworking, they would call this a skew chisel, but it's the pointy one. I'm going to make a stop cut right there. Not too deep. And if it's not deep, the same depth at every point, don't worry. You'll get better at it because you'll be practicing, I'm sure. And I'll do the same thing in all directions. You see that cross that's starting to take shape there? Can you see it okay? Yeah, one more. I don't want you to think that this is easy, and because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've done this probably thousands of times, and so what I have is eye-hand coordination is what they call it, where just by practicing over and over and over again, it gets to be a little bit more natural to do it that way. But in the beginning, I remember it was so hard to make a good straight line. And the only way that you can get to this point is to practice. Okay, I've done stop cuts all along. Now, the idea is to remove the soap outside of the stop cuts so that we can do, it's called shallow relief. Okay, I did that one. I just chopped up. We're going to switch tools for you. Again, put the sharp edge on the bottom. And when I go into the next part, I keep part of it on the part that I've already carved, so there's the same depth. And I'll push it in like that. And get that out of the way, and I'll do the next one like that. Oh, so good. And I think I'll come in from this direction. This is the nice thing about soap, is that there's no grain in it. If this was wood, you'd have to worry about cross grain and end grain. It gets to be very complicated. But soap is fun because it's, okay, here we go. Staying outside of those stop cuts. whole thing in one cut. If you can't do that, you're okay. It just takes practice. Smooth that out a little bit. Somebody asked me at my last soap carving class, can you paint soap? And the answer is yes. Again, the book will tell you how to do it if you want to buy it, but I'll tell you that the first thing you want to do is you want to seal it with a lacquer, something to keep it from, when you put wet acrylic paint on it, that it doesn't melt the soap or blend or anything like that. So just get a layer, and then you can use water-based acrylic paint to paint your soap. Okay, so we have a little cross. Yay! Now, what else can you do with this? If you wanted to, you could put little designs on the inside of it, or you could make it deeper. Just take another stop cut along the way, make it a little bit deeper, and then the more depth that you have, the more shadow you have. It just, it kind of looks like it's more expensive or something. Okay, so now this one's a little bit deeper. And look at that, I knocked off a piece of soap there. I'm gonna take this and smooth it out. It's so easy. I love soap carving because it's forgiving. When I make a mistake, I just go like this, and it's all better. Life should be like that. All the moms and dads are out there saying, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, that's a little crucifix, or cross, all right? Next, we're gonna do a heart. Hi, welcome back. We're gonna do one more carving, and then that'll be it. Again, I've got a piece of ivory soap here. I've got the ivory logo on. I'm just going to scrape that only so that we get a nice smooth top. And with the heart, it's particularly important because this template, the thing we're going to use to draw the figure on there is almost as big as the heart of the piece of soap. So those guys out of the way. Again, these are things that you can buy in craft stores. You can buy a bag of these for like $1. And it's just a regular old heart. It's very similar to the way we did with the cross. Only this time we've got an actual thing that we're going to hold there. And I'm going to use a stylus again. I'll use the fancy schmancy one. And instead of poking holes, I'm just going to go around the perimeter of it, and kind of like drawing a line, but this is just metal. It doesn't have a pencil or anything in it. So all I'm doing is I'm drawing a line around here, keep it in place. Voila! Now, can you guess what we're going to do next? You're right, we're going to make this a little deeper. Again, it's hard at first trying to stay inside those lines. If it goes over the lines, don't worry about it. It just takes practice. And I know that you're going to be so good at this. I'm making it a little bit deeper. If mom and dad are watching, it's probably about 1/4 of an inch deep. 1/4 of an inch is about half of the length of my fingernail. And I'm going in. Those little lines that I made, and I'm just making those little lines deeper. There. Get all that extra fuzzy stuff out of the way. And come around to the bottom here.
Horizon.
Are you starting to see where soap carving can be a lot of fun? You put whatever you put on here, and you can turn it into
Loss of
a
service.
carving. I'm going to use, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this little one. We had real little popsicle sticks when we made these tools. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to cut along that stop line, just outside of the stop line. See how I'm doing that? I'm not letting this pointy part go in here. I was keeping it outside that line. Takes practice. might look easy for me, and if it's hard for you, that was really hard for me when I was getting started. Okay, I'm getting a little too close to the heart itself, so I have to be more careful. Now this would make, all you mothers have to close your ears right now. I'm talking just to the kids. This would make a great Mother's Day present, I think. What you need to do is practice making hearts. And then next May, when Mother's Day comes around, you can make a heart for your mom. I'm not sure what you can make for your dad. What can you make for a Father's Day present?
Car.
A picture of a Corvette. Okay, there's a heart. Now, it might be kind of hard to see because it's very shallow relief. It's only 1/4 of an inch deep. So, if you don't like that, you take a pointy one and you get it nice and deep around the edge. I'm doing it around the perimeter, the outside, and I'm going deeper, deeper, deeper. And go on the other side over here and do it. Oops, start up here so I can see what I'm doing. Am I still on camera, Miss Donna?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I just made that stop cut a little deeper. Now I'm going to go around. And I think you can see, I hope you agree, that if you make it deeper, it actually looks better. Get that soap out of the way. And you know what? If your tool slips and you go all the way across, start over. Get another bar slip and start over. I have made so many mistakes. Okay, we're almost done with the second relief, the second carding here, and I hope that
Loss
you
of service.
agree that it looks better. Oops. That's a real mess over there, so I'm going to scrape it. Try to make it all level. See how I'm turning that? There you go. Now, if I didn't like this real rigid edge on the top, you just take the edge of your tool and just very gently smooth it out like that. Here, very careful. Looks a little bit better. Now I've got fuzzy stuff over here, so I'm going to
Loss
take
of
the
service.
point. I'm going to have a talk with my telephone when we're done. And I'm going to smooth that out so that it looks better. So, that concludes our presentation for the day. And I hope you enjoyed yourself. And I hope that you go out and try this. Moms and dads, you can probably get the whole kit. Everything gets started for 10 or 12 bucks, something like that. And you can make a real mess in your house, so be sure to have a broom and dustpan. It's going to be a while for us cleaning out here this afternoon. So enjoy. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.